don't seek, be found. So everyone's actively trying to seek work in the agency space. You're coming in asking, please let me work for you, versus doing the right brand building to get people to come to you and say, please work on my project.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the High Level Spotlight Sessions, where we showcase awesome marketers doing awesome marketing. Today, I am joined by Tim Conley. He's a B2B business coach who helps companies grow by improving operations, leadership, and marketing. Tim's worked with over 500 companies to date, and he shoots for a 10x return on the coaching investment. Tim, thanks so much for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me. And hopefully, I'll say something awesome for all those awesome marketers.
Well, Tim, you've got a background pretty varied. You started in .com, and that led you into a marketing agency, right? What year did you start an agency?
That would have been in 2000.
Okay, cool.
21 years ago, I started my very first agency.
Wow. And how long did you run that for?
Until I shut everything down, went into what I call semi-retirement in 2008.
Gotcha.
So at the end of 2008, I exited all that and tried to not do marketing after that, and it didn't work out.
Gotcha. Well, so I know that you've worked with a ton of agency entrepreneurs. And when we were, getting ready to record, we were talking about some topics. And the first one is one that I keep thinking more and more about, which is brand, right? In a world where technology is sort of equalizing a lot of things, and a lot of our customers, because it's a white label platform, are thinking like, well, how do I stand out? The answer is really brand, right? So give me a little bit
Yes.
about how you help people coach, or how you coach people up on standing out and branding.
Oh, the first thing you have to understand in the agency space is that you're not in the labor business,
Mm,
which most people believe they are. They're in the transfer of knowledge business. So
mm,
it's an expert business, and experts attract business by being known as the authority in their space. So I like the phrase from academia where professors understand that if they don't publish, they perish.
mm.
And that's what we have in our space. We have to build a brand, or we perish. We just don't have a way to stand out when everyone looks exactly like us. They sound exactly like us. They do the exact same services as we do.
Hmm.
And in the past, you could say, well, pick a niche, just pick a niche,
Yeah.
and that would work out. Well, about 10 years ago, that would have worked out fine. But since then, in the last decade, every niche has thousands and thousands of digital marketers in there.
Hmm.
So they're flooded. Every space is flooded with digital marketers. So picking a niche is no longer sufficient advice to build a brand. You actually have to find your unique selling proposition and communicate it clearly into a space that has a problem that you can solve. And I wanted to be vague like that because I don't mean just specifically an industry. It could be a platform. It could be like a technological platform. It could be in a type of economy. It could be in a type of service, say e-commerce, where like e-commerce has multiple industries with inside of it. So you could find these different areas where you're very good at solving a particular problem that's cross industry, cross niches, but you become the authority in that solution for a specific problem.
See, okay, let me unpack that, because a lot of what you said, I absolutely love, and it plays right into a model that I really love that relates specifically to high level, which is, okay, you started by saying, get out of the mindset that you're trading time for money. And I think a lot of agencies think that way. Oh, that's what service is about. You trade time for money. And you said, no, you're selling your intellect,
Yes,
the
intellectual property.
experience, intellectual property, fantastic. And so so to me, that translates of, wow, I need to become the authority. And I do that by giving away knowledge. And so one model that I've seen a lot of our community members do is, because you can white label High Level as a platform, you basically create a community where you give away free advice, but in that advice, it sells the platform itself, right? Because we all know you need technology to execute on strategy these days, right? And so I love it if you're just continually referencing it. It's like, yeah, and you can go tie together MailChimp and something to make it work. Or, that's why we built our platform, because you can do it all in one. And so you're just subtly selling the platform through the advice that you're giving away as the authority. And so it's two birds at one stone. You're building yourself up as an authority, but you're also generating sales of the software, because we all need the tools to get the job done, right?
Right. That's one of the reasons I recommend nearly every agency, not all, but nearly every agency should be an affiliate marketer, or a partner like in your software.
Mhm.
They need to have this additional income because of the changing marketplace for agencies. Relying solely on services is not smart anymore. It hasn't
No.
been smart for a long time. So you already, and I'm going to guess, people watching this or listening are already producing content.
Hopefully.
I'm just going to guess that nearly every one of them are already producing content, and they need to, they could just simply have a link in there. They're already going to be telling somebody, you need to do email marketing, or you need to be having a one-on-one chat. You need to have live chat and explain
Exactly.
how live chat works. I bet you already have an article on your in your blog somewhere about that topic or one of those topics. And then you would just have, now click here and use the software. I just showed you in this article how to use this software. Click it
Exactly.
and they buy it, you get a commission. That's just on the affiliate side, not even including what you could possibly do in a business model with white labeling. I'm just
Exactly.
talking, you're already making the content. You're already doing it. You're trying to build your authority. Stick a
My
link in
fear
there.
is that a lot of agencies spend all their time making content for their clients and not for themselves, to build themselves into the authority. And that's what hopefully people are taking away from this. Man, if you're not, you need to get started, because you're just going to be in a sea of people cold calling potential customers and not an authority that attracts customers naturally, right?
Right. I have a phrase that I use all the time. It's is to don't seek, be found. So everyone's actively trying to seek work in the agency space. I get at least once a week, I get a question on cold outreach.
Mhm.
Usually about 3 times a week, I get that question. And I am not a proponent of cold outreach because it's anti-authority. You're coming in asking, please let me work for you, versus doing the right brand building to get people to come to you and say, please work on my project. There's a
Huge
massive
difference.
difference. Massive difference. And if you're already producing content for to do SEO for your own agency, to be known as somebody who is an expert in the topic that you've written about, you can use that to do both, generate revenue and build a brand at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. So the next idea or thing that we were talking about is, and you already mentioned it, is basically packaging up your IP. And so with High Level, we have these things called snapshots, right? So you build out a client's account, you build the pipeline, you build all these automations, custom fields, all these types of things. You can just turn it into a snapshot. So the next time you get a client of that type, you just deploy it and it replicates all that stuff. And so when I hear our customers get worried about, well, what happens in a world when every agency is using High Level, right? We're all reselling the same thing. And we're like, No, think of it as a platform that you build through your IP on top of, and there are no two, high level agencies that are the same, right? So
Right.
talk to me, and I don't know if people really understand what I mean by your IP, and so talk to me about what we mean by when we say package up your IP.
So intellectual property is a combination of your experiences, your knowledge, and your, I don't know, the thing that makes you you. I would say perspective. So you have a way of viewing the world, a way of solving problems that other people don't. And this could have resulted in a unique process. You
Mhm,
do a specific process that gets results for clients that other people aren't using.
mhm,
Or if other agencies do something similar, your implementation of it is significantly different. So processes, systems, those are intellectual property, but just knowledge itself is intellectual property. I'm too far from my
got a
bookshelf,
great
but
example. So this is exactly what you're talking about here, and this is just a tiny tip, and I'm not like blowing up anybody's secret because I've heard a few of our customers doing something similar. But like in the nurture automations that they build, they always have it come from a fictitious employee, right? So everybody, every new potential customer who comes through the marketing interacts with this person, Alexa or whatever the name is, and they have this reasoning of why they do that. It's like, so everyone's all on the same page and blah 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 blah. I can't remember the actual reasoning, but that reasoning is their IP, right? It's a differentiator that they teach their businesses that they work with of, hey, we want to do it this way. Here's why we do it this way. It's sort of part of our secret sauce. And again, I don't know what the sauce is. I can't recall it, but it's a great example that I always went back to of like, that's so interesting that they do that.
right, right, because you have so many forms of intellectual property, and when you understand that your business is not the labor of transferring that IP to another individual, another organization,
Mhm.
that's not the business you're in. You may feel that that's your business, the act of transferring the knowledge, but you're in the business of building that knowledge.
Mm.
That's the business you're in. And when you understand that, when you understand you're actually in the IP business and not the labor business, you can package it up in any different way, from
Mm.
something as simple as a book to courses to corporate training to retreats to all
Mm.
software. You can package it up in so many different ways,
Mhm.
yet it's the exact same information that you do on a daily basis already.
One example I love is, building long-term nurtures and getting the content from the manufacturers, the big names in the industry. So we used to work with a lot of med spas. So it's everyone sells Botox, some sort of body sculpting, this, that, the other. We would just go to those companies who have massive budgets. They put out incredible video, photo, all that. They're in the news, this and that, steal that content, build emails about it, and then we would sell it as a package. Hey, here's a year's worth of nurture content that works for any med spa. And you can
Right.
build that right into high level as part of your snapshot. And so I think hopefully this is getting the wheels turning of these different revenue streams that you can generate, obviously by reselling high level, but even within that, things that you can bundle up from the knowledge that you've gained through your experiences of servicing clients. And I
Right.
really think, I agree with you. If you're not on this journey yet, you've got to start because it's only going to get, bigger and bigger as far as the amount of competitors looking to service your clients, right?
Right.
Now, I mentioned to you that a lot of the high level customers are sort of at a crossroads, not a crossroads, maybe a pivot point where they're like, okay, wow, SaaS mode has made it super simple for me to turn my business into a software company in addition to the services that we provide. And in a sense, they're sort of starting over, right? They have a services company and now they're like, how do we get this software company going at the same time? And you mentioned something, a phrase that I'd never heard before, little hinges swing big doors. Talk
Yes.
to me about that.
Okay, I heard this phrase. It's a variation of a quote from W. Clement Stone. The first time I heard it was from the direct response marketer Dan Kennedy a long,
Okay.
long time ago. Beginning of my career, I was listening to a cassette tape of Dan Kennedy talking about consulting and that little hinges swing big doors, meaning a handful of clients can generate massive amounts of revenue. A few small changes in what you do, in how you serve clients, can make massive impacts on both your own business and your clients. So
Mm.
it's a philosophy to approach, not looking for a big hinge to swing a small door, but the small hinges in a business that can swing massive impact.
Hmm. It's a pretty big metaphor. I could see it being taken in a bunch of directions. But
Yes.
is that, do you help when you're coaching, entrepreneurs in the agency space that are trying to get started? Do you use this as far as, hey, let's focus on the first couple of clients, getting the right ones? Is that a type of small hinge? Or is it more like, what can we tweak within your business model?
Usually it's what can we tweak in your business model to get those right clients? Because a lot of people have the wrong pricing, they have the wrong packaging of their services, they may not be in the right industry because they picked the wrong pricing, the wrong packaging, and it got them stuck in a space inside of an industry that does not serve them very well. I hear this all the time. Small businesses, they need what I do. So that's why I'm there, and I can't charge a lot because they don't have the money, but they
Hmm.
need what I do.
Hmm.
Yes, but so do bigger companies that have money. They need what you do. And there's nothing on this planet that requires you to not make money because someone else doesn't have the ability to pay you. There's
Right.
someone else who does. You're in the business of solving business problems. Uh, don't, uh, I would say the best way of looking at that is to look at the few things that you're doing in your business that are not contributing to what you wish to achieve.
Mhm.
And as soon as you start opening up your mind to what little hinges can I swing, then
Hmm.
it gives you these other opportunities. Oh, I'm not just in the business of selling my labor. I'm actually in the business of selling my thinking. Oh, I can repackage my thinking in a variety of ways. And then as soon as that little hinge flips in your mind, then a lot of other opportunities open up for you.
It's funny that because this keeps coming up. Just the other week, I was talking to somebody in that example of like Picasso like drew something on a napkin because a lady said, "I'll pay you whatever you want for it," and he told her like some huge number, and she was like, "What? It took you 2 minutes to make that?" And he said, "No, it's taken me 50 years to make that," or something along those lines. And the first time I heard that, I was like, "Oh man!" And it applies so well. You're right. You work with a client, and it's like, no, it might take me 2 hours to configure account. No, it's taken me years to figure out what to put in that account. All the stuff in that snapshot has taken us years through X amount of clients to figure out. And so I do think it's an eye opener for a lot of agencies that are stuck in the time for money model. No, your experience is what your real value is what I think we're getting at here, right?
Well, the what your experience is able to provide the client, because the client doesn't care about your experience. The client actually doesn't care about your intellectual property. They don't care about your processes. What they care about is that you have the solution to
Mm.
their problem, and when that problem's solved, they get a big return.
Hmm.
That's it. That's all they actually care about. They don't care about anything else. They don't care about time. They don't care about your secret sauce. They don't care about your brand. Matter of fact, they probably don't even know the name of your business, even as they write you a check. They don't care. All they care about is, will I get a return on my investment? not necessarily a direct monetary return, but the value that they're looking for, will I get a significant amount of it?
Mhm. And basically, so it's a good point, right? They don't care if you actually made it from scratch or if it's something that you made 2 years ago that you just continue to resell. They don't care as long as it produces the result, right? And that's why
Right.
we at High Level and with SaaS Mode have bundled up a bunch of features that are automatic, right? You just basically turn them on and they continue to provide value. So what better business model could there be than to collect money on a recurring basis for something that's automated? And so,
Right.
we keep coming back to the same point. Like basically, you need to get smart and start thinking about ways to pivot out of time for money and pivot into scalable solutions that, generate recurring revenue. Tim, go ahead.
Oh, I agree. But I'd add a little nuance to it. Multiple streams of revenue. The agency game where it was solely sell your creative labor
Mm,
is gone. That time period is long past. We're
mm,
now in a time period where clients, they like to churn out. They don't. A lot of clients don't like to stick around for years like they did.
mhm.
Well, like when I was first getting into the space over 20 years ago. Even back then, clients were already starting to churn agencies. So we've been out of that space for a very long time. So you have to look at your business as uh, a multiple revenue source business model, not
Exactly.
single source. And so recurring revenue, and I'll finish with this. Recurring revenue wasn't the panacea that everybody made it out to be, because a lot of agencies switched their business model over to one form of one revenue stream, which was recurring services.
Right.
They just pay us a monthly fee and we'll do work for you every month. And then client churn kicks in. And they're like, I thought this was going to be perfect.
Well, that it's still
We,
happening today. And that's why when we
yes,
did the internal research I think we went across like 20,000 agencies worth of data that we had. And the number that we came out with was like, it was less than 3 months, the average churn rate of services, of a
yes,
services retainer. And then
yes,
when we looked at the churn rate of our platform, the software, it's basically non-existent. I just got off a call with a guy who started his white label of High Level over a year ago. And I said, well, how many clients do you have that have made 12 payments at least? And he was like, well, all of them. And so it was just night and day. And so that's what we're talking about, right? Like you have services
yes,
revenue, you need to diversify. We're giving you an opportunity to generate SaaS revenue, but you've also thrown out a bunch of great ideas like building a course and then having that like, oh, we also have this course on this thing of like how to train your staff to sell, things like that. I can think of real life experiences where we would build great marketing and then they couldn't close the leads. That's a great opportunity for a sales course. You know what I mean? So
right.
starting to think of ways to diversify the revenue stream, I think, is the name of the game. And in our mind, software is the stickiest diversification that you can make. But I know that on your YouTube channel, you're churning out ideas all the time here. You're a YouTube star at this point. Is that where people should head if they want to learn from you?
Yeah, it's the best place to learn more about the ideas that I've shared is youtube.com/Tim Conley, TimConley. Great place to go, learn more, and get a lot of these ideas and how to implement them in your agency.
How frequently you're publishing? Just out of curiosity.
Uh, when I'm publishing, it's about weekly, but I've been really busy this summer and my publishing has really dried up. So I have got to get back to sitting down and recording my own intellectual property and putting it out there.
Exactly. I love it. Well, Tim, I've checked out a bunch of your videos. They're really well done. And so definitely head over there and check him out. But Tim, thanks so much for coming on to chat with us.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks everybody for watching. We will see you in the next one.